Welcome to the X Project Podcast. This is a podcast of the X Project Substack. To subscribe, please go to thexproject.substack.com. Fortifying the Future of the United States, a summary of the 2023 National Defense Industrial Strategy. Article number 40, published March 6, 2024. In this article, the X Project will answer these 10 questions. Section 1. What is the National Defense Industrial Strategy? Sections 2 through 5. What are the NDIS's 4 key priorities? Section 5. What does Defense News have to say about the NDIS? Section 7. What does the Texas National Security Review have to say about the NDIS? Section 8. What does the Atlantic Council have to say about the NDIS? Section 9. What does the X Project guy have to say? And, as always, Section 10. Why should you care? Reminder for readers and listeners, nothing the X Project writes or says should be considered investment advice or recommendations to buy or sell securities or investment products. Everything written and said is for informational purposes only, and you should do your own research and due diligence. It would be best to discuss with an investment advisor before making any investments or changes to your investments based on any information provided by the X Project. Section 1. What is the National Defense Industrial Strategy? The National Defense Industrial Strategy, or NDIS, was published by the Department of Defense in 2023 and released to the public in January of 2024. It references the 2022 National Defense Strategy as a foundational document, indicating that the 2023 NDIS is a continuation or response to the previous year's strategic vision. The NDIS aims to address challenges within the defense industrial base and outlines strategies for maintaining a robust, resilient, and dynamic defense industrial ecosystem. This includes increasing production capacity, strengthening supply chains, and fostering collaboration between the U.S. government, private industry, and international allies and partners. The NDIS recognizes the challenges posed by strategic competitors, notably the coercive actions of the People's Republic of China and the Russian Federation's aggressive behaviors, as well as transboundary challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic. It calls for a coordinated effort among the U.S. government, private industry, and international partners to address these challenges and strengthen the defense industrial base. The strategy is intended to ensure the U.S. and its allies can maintain a military advantage and secure their interests against any threats, emphasizing the critical role of the defense industrial base in national security and global stability. There are 4 key priorities of the NDIS, and for each priority area, the strategy outlines specific actions as well as risks if those actions are not taken or goals are not met. Section 2. What is the NDIS's first key priority? Resilient supply chains. This priority focuses on securing and diversifying the sources of materials and components critical to defense manufacturing. It involves efforts to mitigate risks associated with supply chain disruptions through strategic stockpiling, increased domestic production, and the development of more robust and flexible manufacturing capabilities. The NDIS emphasizes the importance of leveraging data analytics for better visibility across the supply chain and engaging with international partners to enhance global defense production and resilience. Here are the specific actions the NDIS outlines to build resilient supply chains. Incentivize industry to improve resilience by investing in extra capacity. Manage inventory and stockpile planning to decrease near-term risk. Continue and expand support for domestic production. Diversify supplier base and invest in new production methods. Leverage data analytics to improve sub-tier visibility to identify and minimize strategic supply chain risks and to manage disruptions proactively. Engage allies and partners to expand global defense production and increase supply chain resilience. Improve the foreign military sales process and enhance industrial cybersecurity. And here are the risks of not achieving these goals. Inability to meet the pacing challenge, supply and materials shortfalls, limited spare capacity, and fragile supply lines. Section 3. What is the second key priority of the NDIS? Workforce readiness. Acknowledging the challenge of a shrinking labor pool and the need for specialized skills, this priority aims to cultivate a skilled, diverse, and sufficiently staffed workforce. Initiatives include investing in STEM education, expanding apprenticeship and internship programs, and destigmatizing industrial careers. The strategy underlines the importance of preparing the workforce for future technological innovations and ensuring defense manufacturing sectors are attractive to both current and future generations of workers. Here are the specific actions the NDIS outlines to improve workforce readiness. First, prepare workforce for future technological innovation. Second, continue targeting defense critical skills sets in manufacturing and STEM. Third, increase access to apprenticeship and internship programs. Fourth, destigmatize industrial careers. And fifth, expand recruitment of non-traditional communities. And here are the risks of not achieving these goals. The inability to successfully onshore critical manufacturing, the inability to compete globally, reduced productivity throughout the full supply chain, and limited innovation. Section 4. What is the third key priority of the NDIS? Flexible acquisition. This area seeks to streamline and modernize the acquisition process better to support the rapid development and deployment of defense capabilities. The focus is on adopting more flexible contracting strategies, enhancing the interoperability of systems, and ensuring that the acquisition process can quickly adapt to changing defense needs and technological advancements. Here are the specific actions the NDIS outlines to achieve a flexible acquisition capability. Broaden platform standards and interoperability. Strengthen requirements process to curb scope creep. Prioritize off-the-shelf acquisition where applicable and reasonable. Increase access to intellectual property and data rights to enhance acquisition and sustainment. Consider greater use and policy reform of contracting strategies. Continue to support acquisition reform. And update industrial mobilization authorities and planning to ensure preparedness. And here are the risks of not achieving these goals: limited scale, high costs and lengthy development times, technology obsolescence, diminished industrial base resilience, sustainment and logistics challenges, reduced operational effectiveness, and increased technological risk. Section 5. What is the fourth key priority of the NDIS? Economic deterrence. The strategy highlights the role of economic strength in national security, advocating for measures to protect critical technologies from foreign exploitation and control. It calls for strengthening economic security agreements, enforcing against adversarial ownership and cyber threats, and leveraging international standards to promote interoperability and collaboration with allies and partners. Here are the specific actions the NDIS outlines to effect economic deterrence. First, strengthen economic security agreements. Second, enable international interoperability standards through active participation in standard-setting bodies. Third, fortify alliances to share science and technology. Fourth, strengthen enforcement against adversarial ownership and protect against cyber attacks. And fifth, strengthen prohibited sources policy. And here are the risks of not achieving these goals. Critical economic supply chain and infrastructure vulnerabilities. Increased costs and reduced defense budgets. Weakened industrial ecosystem. Intellectual property theft and adversarial capital IP control. Degraded technology edge, innovation and quality. And loss of trust and reputation. Section 6. What does Defense News have to say about the NDIS? Opinion. Pentagon's industrial strategy describes the problem, not the solution. The article critiques the Pentagon's first ever National Defense Industrial Strategy, which was released on January 11, 2024. The article points out that the NDIS recycles old solutions as new ones, fails to update faulty assumptions about likely attrition of equipment during conflict, and neglects to lay out new, actionable, measurable solutions within the Department of Defense's scope of control. The article also notes that the NDIS focuses on elements of the problem that are either not within its purview to solve, or that it should not even be focused on fixing, such as the fictitious stigma of industrial jobs. The article further highlights the disconnects between policy, programming, and budgeting within the Department of Defense, and the inadequacy of the budget in supporting the now dangerously outdated national security and defense strategies. Section 7. What does the Texas National Security Review have to say about the NDIS? Shining a light on the Defense Department's industrial base problems. The article discusses the challenges and opportunities of the Pentagon's first ever National Defense Industrial Strategy, which was released January 11, 2024. The article presents original data derived from a new survey of defense tech companies, which reveals the barriers and enablers that companies face in converting disruptive commercial technologies into wide-scale defense capabilities. The article identifies 4 key factors that affect the success of defense tech companies: access to capital, access to customers, access to talent, and access to information. The article also offers a number of recommendations for the Defense Department to lower these barriers and increase these enablers, such as creating a Defense Innovation Fund, expanding the use of other transaction authorities, and improving the transparency and communication of defense requirements and opportunities. Section 8. What does the Atlantic Council have to say about the NDIS? Reading between the lines of the new U.S. National Defense Industrial Strategy. The article criticizes the NDIS for being vague and lacking concrete recommendations on how to implement its vision of transforming the defense industrial base. The article argues that the NDIS does not provide clear objectives, metrics, timelines, or resources for achieving its goals. The article also points out that the NDIS does not address the root causes of the problems it identifies, such as bureaucratic inertia, lack of agility, and insufficient investments in human capital and supply chains. The article also questions the assumptions and trade-offs of the NDIS, such as the reliance on economic deterrence to counteract foreign investment jeopardizing national security, the neglect of the impact of inflation on defense spending, and the potential inefficiencies and distortions caused by protectionist measures. The article suggests the NDIS should be complemented by other policies that address the broader economic and social issues facing the U.S., such as rebalancing the labor market power and increasing workers' bargaining power. The article calls for a more inclusive and comprehensive economic agenda that goes beyond industrial policy. Section 9. What does the X project guy have to say? First, despite the critiques on the NDIS, the fact that this is the first ever industrial strategy published by the Department of Defense is significant. Industrial policy is not new for the United States, and the history of industrial policy is long and goes back to the founding of the country. However, starting in the 1980s, industrial policy declined in popularity as free market ideology dominated for the next several decades. It is not just that the NDIS exists that is significant. It is also recent legislation that was passed and signed into law. The United States Innovation and Competition Act of 2021 allocated $250 billion to facilitate the research and development of science and technology, especially in areas where the U.S. faced competition from China, such as semiconductors, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and quantum computing. The Act also included measures to strengthen the U.S. supply chains, workforces, and alliances in the innovation sector. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act of 2021 provided $1.2 trillion to repair and upgrade infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and ports, as well as infrastructure related to clean water, internet, and cybersecurity. The CHIPS and Science Act of 2022 authorized roughly $280 billion in new funding to boost domestic research and manufacturing of semiconductors in the United States, for which it appropriates $52.7 billion. The Act aims to strengthen American supply chain resilience and competitiveness, especially in the face of China's technological rise. It also invests $174 billion in the overall ecosystem of public sector research in science and technology, including in NASA, the Department of Energy, and NIST. One of the central themes and tenets of the X Project is that the next few decades will be very different than the past several ones. Together, the NDIS, coupled with the recent industrial policy-related legislation, signify a major paradigm shift away from free market capitalist ideology and globalization. Next, I want to thank all subscribers, primarily free and some paid, who have signed up thus far. Gaining additional subscribers daily is a decisive vote of confidence propelling the X project forward. Substack tells me that nearly 2/3 of you have a 4-star or 5-star activity rating, meaning you consistently engage with my content, which is excellent. Please hit the heart icon indicating you like the article. The more likes I get, the more Substack will promote my content within the Substack community. If you don't like my content or have any suggestions, please email me at thexprojectguy@gmail.com. In the next section, I will explain why you should care and, more importantly, what you can do about it. However, the X Project now requires you to view the final section as a paid subscriber. In a few articles, the paywall will move up within the article so that only paid subscribers will see the last 2 sections, or rather, free subscribers will only see the first 8 sections. I will be moving the paywall up every few weeks, so ultimately free subscribers will only see the first 4 or 5 sections of each article. So please consider a paid subscription. All paid subscriptions come with a free 14-day trial, and you can cancel anytime. Every month, for just the cost of 2 cups of coffee, the X Project will deliver 2 articles per week, helping you know in 1 to 2 hours of your time per month what you need to know about our changing world at the intersection of commodities, demographics, economics, energy, geopolitics, government debt and deficits, interest rates, markets, and money. You can also earn free paid subscription months by referring your friends. If your referrals sign up for just a free subscription, you get 1 month of free paid subscription for 1 referral, 6 months of free paid subscription for 3 referrals, and 12 months of free paid subscription for just 5 referrals. So please refer your friends. Thank you. This concludes the X Projects podcast number 40. Please subscribe to the X Project Substack at thexproject.substack.com.